Hello and welcome to week 23's Dinosaw. 7 more interesting, curious and innovative things thought you might want to see this week. So let's crack on. Esports has real world consequences. So this is the sorry tale of Daniel Abt, who is a Formula E driver. So Formula E is and like you're seeing here, this is the virtual version of it, but he's a real Formula E driver. It's the electric Formula One. So he's been in the series since its inception. So I think there's only one of 4 drivers that have been there for every single season. He's been signed to Audi all the way through. So he's a real driver. And so they've been doing this stay-at-home championship, essentially what happened is he's been there or thereabouts, qualified 15th in a lot of races, etc. Not been so good at this esports stuff, and all of a sudden he finishes in, I think, 2nd position, possibly 3rd. And people were suspicious. So if you look at the video that's just about to appear in the bottom corner of your screen as his video feed comes on, you'll notice his face is covered. Now, it turns out that wasn't Daniel Abt. So he'd got a professional esports racer to race for him, trying to pass it off as himself live during the event. So he got called out by the drivers on the stream because they're a bit suspicious that his live feed went black as well during the post-race interviews. And basically it found out he was actually cheating. So he got a €10,000 fine, and later on he was actually essentially disqualified and suspended and then fired by his Audi race team. So his real life cheating has actually lost him his real life job. So it does have consequences, and quite frankly, quite rightly too. However, don't do that, kids. Cheating has consequences. Second one is Microsoft's phone listening patents. Now, they applied for this in 2007, so it's been trickling on for a bit. So this might just be a bit of a legacy, but it did pop up on the kind of patent troll, which I occasionally do. And this is their digital voice communication advertising patent, which was granted this month. So this is essentially what it does is it listens to you as you are speaking on the telephone call. So if you have this system running as a business, it's listening to what you say, how you infer, your utterances, as they call them. It's looking them up. It's figuring out what you're saying, how you're saying it, whether you're a fan of something, whether you're talking about a product, whether you're asking for something, and then it'll then sort of put you into a database. So sort of traditional data scraping, essentially. You will either then get some sort of communication from the voice call, or more likely is you will get an advert later in some other digital form. So if you're talking about trucks, or you've said that you can't get to somewhere because your truck has broken down, then hey Mitch, you're going to get a truck advert quite soon. So this might just be a legacy from sort of 13 years ago when this was potentially a cool thing, and we've all come a lot further, or they're genuinely still working on it. But either way, it's just that the time is now not right for this, where we've had quite a lot of is Facebook listening to you, and by the way, they're not. But people suspect that social media is listening to them and they're getting targeted. So this just proves that Microsoft were genuinely thinking about that back in the day. League of Legends is still going strong, and is also introducing adverts into one of their arenas. So this is for the sort of esports arena. So if you're a live streamer, then you can watch this game being played out, and you will therefore be able to see, for instance, MasterCard adverts in the banners. So do they need this? Probably not. They make about just on this one game alone, just over $2 billion a year. So it's about $180 million a month, something like that. So they don't really need the cash. However, Blizzard are looking at ways of, obviously upping revenue. They are a business, so they've chosen one of 50 advertisers to go into the game. So if you're a budding media buyer and you're looking for somewhere new and innovative to try and put your brand, maybe look at League of Legends. Again, this is a sort of a COVID reaction that's breaking the molds a little bit. So this is a Congolese fashion designer called Anifa Mvwemba, and she has essentially broken 2 molds here. So she's said, I'm not really going to play by the summer winter fashion Paris, London, Rome schedule. I'm going to do my own thing. And by the way, because we can't be physical, I'm going to launch my fashion show on Instagram. So she created this really interesting CGI version, and it was about sort of female empowerment as well. So each one of the models is based on one of the women that she has found inspiration in her life. So again, it's really interesting that you don't need the models, but she's got the models and she's showing her clothes off without getting the models in the way, and also basically going outside of the schedule of fashion shows. So breaking quite a lot of boundaries there, and I really like that. It was really sort of striking, huge critical acclaim as well. So a massive standout. So really, really nice. Moving to something completely different, we've got mini ion thrusters. So these are essentially space propulsion engines, and this one is about the size of a 1 pence piece, so it's tiny. So this little sort of crown essentially. So it's made out of 28 tungsten spikes, and inside the tungsten spikes is a liquid metal called indium. And indium, when you put electricity through it, creates little mini spikes within it as well. So basically, it can then, if you put electricity through them, they focus electricity to create essentially ions to flow. So the ions, these create essentially like spires with ions flowing out of them. Now, it's a long description. Basically, what that means is as the ions come out, they do actually have some sort of physical reaction. So as they go that way, the engine wants to go that way. So basic laws of physics. So these tiny amounts of force comes out of one of these. So it's about 1,000th of a Newton. So in normal person's terms, a brick. If you hold a brick, that's trying to accelerate downwards at about 1 Newton, and this is 1,000th of a brick. So it's not a massive force, but if you are a spaceship with zero wind resistance and you need to change your course over a couple of orbits, this is going to do it for you. So microsats are the things that are really sort of clogging up the Earth's atmosphere at the moment, or upper atmosphere. So if you could steer one of these microsats, are about the size of sort of, again, a brick. If you could steer those dynamically out of their orbit and make them crash into the ocean to be recycled, then that'd be a better thing than just leaving them up there creating space debris. So yeah, so this is from the European Space Agency. So see these on a microsat/spaceship soon. Again, slightly out there one. So this is the Norimaki synthesizer. So there've been a few attempts at something like this over the years. They've all been, relatively crude. This one is still quite crude, to be fair. So there's one a couple of years ago that was a sort of a cocktail synthesizer that basically just as you drank a drink, it had colours and smells and tried to also put electricity on your tongue to give you a change in what you perceive the taste to be. I think there's been some chopsticks or some ramen bowls that did the same, made it more salty. So a spoon that made it more salty, for instance. So this combines 5 of those things all working together. So there are 5 kind of gels, so actual flavors. So citric acid, for instance, for acidity. I think there's obviously sodium chloride for salty, magnesium chloride, etc. So each one of these chemicals on its own gives you one of the core tastes. So it's nice that they've got they've got bitter, obviously, but they've got umami, which is this kind of sort of savoury taste. So what happens is there's copper around this thing that grounds you in an electrical system. You put this thing on your tongue. They send different amounts of electricity through the gels, and you can taste different amounts of these types of sensations. So you can turn up saltiness, you can turn down saltiness, turn up sweet, turn down sweet. So the theory being you can taste flavours if you combine them in the right way. So kind of interesting just in its own right. Kind of gross in that they imagine this to be a micro screen, so your mobile screen you could taste. And what does that lead to? Well, that's quite interesting in that if you're an advertiser and you're advertising a new type of burger, you can taste the burger or the sauce or whatever it might need to be. But also if you're on social media, you can then sample using your phone sampler, which you can sample these very easily, and you can send somebody the taste of your food that you're trying out or the drink that you're trying out. So, again, very crude at the moment, but it's they also wrap some sushi seaweed around it as well, just to give you that extra sensation. However, watch this space. And finally, Grimes has an exhibition. So again, during COVID, these are not physical. So she's with a Californian collective. who have an online exhibition. I checked it out yesterday, and she's not got anything up there yesterday, although it's supposed to be as of the 28th. However, she's got an exhibition, and the most notable part of it, although sorry, I should say that the exhibition is about selling out. So if you have seen any interview with Elon Musk at the moment, you'll know that Grimes and Elon Musk, who's her husband, have been selling their houses and being dematerialistic, that sort of thing. So clearly there's a thing going on. And also, subnote, they've also slightly changed the name of their child, only the spelling. So instead of A12 at the end of the name, it's now AXII, because you're not allowed numbers in Californian law, apparently. However, so back to the Grimes example here. Claire Boucher, which is her artist name when it comes to performance art, is selling a part of her soul. So she's literally selling out, getting rid of everything, and just showing how stupid it is for corporates, or at least the sort of commercialism, to own people. So you too could bid for a portion of it, and you'll get a legal document saying so that will prove that it is true. So if you're up for that, head along to the link at the bottom of the page, and you too can bid for Grimes's soul. And with that, we are done. So thank you very much, and I will see you again next month.